Kate, let me ask you, what if somebody wanted to honeymoon in Oman?
See, I think it would be a great place to go, partly because they have now built a number of really lovely, quite small boutique hotels. They do spas very, very well. And if you get married in the autumn or the winter, it's a great winter destination. It's not boiling hot, but you're going to have lovely sunshine, you're going to get great weather, and you're going to be somewhere that's a little bit different. And you know, everybody likes to do something a bit different for their honeymoon, don't they? They want it to be a bit stand out. And I think it would be a really lovely, you know, destination. Partly you could combine what I think would be nice about it, and obviously I'm talking from what I would like to do on a honeymoon. I would like the activity side. You know, there's lovely sailing, you can do snorkeling. If you're divers, you know, it's a great place to go diving. But equally, if you want, and everybody wants to have a bit of luxury on their honeymoon, there are lovely places to stay, top-class restaurants. You know, you might worry, I'm on my honeymoon, I would quite like a glass of champagne. You can have one in, you know, in an international hotel. You can drink alcohol, so that's absolutely fine. And as I say, there are these lovely spas, so you can go and pamper yourself, relax after a wedding, because everyone who says they will never forget their wedding probably won't ever forget their wedding, probably because of the stress before it. So you do want somewhere to kind of de-stress afterwards, and it has plenty of facilities for that.
Tell me about the cuisine. What type of foods can we expect in Oman?
Well, Oman is interesting. You can eat very local food. If you go into the souk, something that we did was very often we went into the souk in Muscat, which is this wonderful old kind of, it's like a covered market really. Lots of little winding streets, little sort of bolt holes and little cabins selling wonderful spices and dates and coffee, and you'll find these little places you go and have a biryani, which and it doesn't, but I love them. You go in and get a little thing. But what's incredible about Oman, and again, it doesn't really shout about this, but it has some very, very high-class restaurants, often within the international hotels. So you can kind of eat everything. Obviously, seafood, delicious. They've got this amazing coastline, and you can get really good, fresh seafood. Lamb is something, and that's a very Omani dish, you know, beautifully slow-cooked lamb, melting, often with a sort of a rice dish alongside it. But again, you know, they've now attracted a huge range of international chefs, so you can kind of eat anything you want. It is a bit of a foodie paradise, really.
Okay, let me ask you top tips of the things you must do in Oman.
Okay, I would definitely get on or under the water. I'm an underwater baby. I love diving, but not everyone has got their diving qualifications. You don't need to have a diving qualification to still really appreciate the fantastic marine life around the coast of Oman. So I would get a mask and a set of fins and go out and do a bit of a snorkel. Or Oman's become a really keen sailing nation. You can go out and learn to sail there. So get out on the water, because one of the things that you will almost certainly see, if you're lucky, are dolphins. So that's one thing I would definitely do. For history buffs, there are wonderful old forts and castles up in the hills, beautifully restored, a lot of them. You can really, when you walk around them, you get a real sense of how these buildings worked. You know, sometimes when you go to sort of old ruins, it's very, very difficult to imagine how people lived in them or how they worked as buildings. But what they've done in Oman is very sensitive restoration, so that you get a real sense of how they worked. And they're often in very, very beautiful locations, tucked up in the mountains, amazingly well disguised because they're built of the same rock that comes from the mountains. So I would go walking, indulge in a little bit of history, and then go for a jolly good swim.